see if I can get the chat happening here in case anybody is chatting with us. So welcome. It's our first YouTube only live. Hallelujah. Much less technology involved, which means that we won't need to stuff any emotions about technology and technological problems. Today's episode is about the cost of stuffing emotions. We apparently mentioned this a couple of episodes back. Georgianna remembered and I did not. And one of our listeners asked us to go a bit more deep into this. So we're going to do that today. And I want to be explicit here. We're not talking about feeling your feelings or making a whole business about helping people feel their feelings just because we're super emotional feelings type people. This has physiological consequences. Stuffing your feelings is actually quite a big deal. And we just want to help people learn how to not have to do that in ways that are simple and practical. We're going to get a bit more deep into this, but there's long-term studies showing us that if you're stuffing your feelings, you're increasing the odds of getting cancer by 70%. You're increasing the risk of all-cause mortality by 35%. This is a significant thing, which they've measured by way of 6 questions that I'm going to ask you later in the episode. So today, the cost of stuffing emotions. And gee, I think you've got many things to say about this.
Well, Steph asked me for a story. Do I have an example of a time where I've stuffed an emotion? And I just laughed at her. I said, no, I do not have a story because that's my whole life. There's so many instances of it. And how I know it involves stuffing feelings and emotions is actually that it sounded sort of like this. It sounded like, I'm fine. I don't care. It's okay. And what's another go to? Oh, what's wrong? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. So for me, those are my go to if those words come out of my mouth. And I would say it's different now. But back in the day, if those words came out of my mouth, they would be a very good indicator. Like lights should be flashing. Oh, this woman, this girl is stuffing some emotion down right now. She's lying to you. Something is actually not okay. I think now when I say it, and I'm sure it still happens here and there, but for the most part now, if I say I'm fine, I am fine. Or it's okay, especially it's okay. Like it's okay now for me means I'm actually okay with it. Wow, newsflash. Wouldn't that be nice when someone says to you, yeah, that's okay with me, that you could really trust that that's true,
Yeah.
that they're really feeling okay about it. And that just wasn't the case for me. And I remember many times in different relationships where something was bothering me. I could feel, something inside is starting to fire up. And I don't know about you, but those times when you close cupboards a little bit too loudly, you drag your feet a little bit more obviously on the ground or whatever it is, right? Where I could tell my insides were trying to create and elicit and draw out from the other person something to along the lines of, "Are you okay? Like, is everything okay?"
I'm
And sure
fine.
enough, sure enough, they picked up on those signs and they would say, "Is everything okay? Are you okay? What's wrong?" And it was really interesting. There probably was a time in my life where the immediate response was nothing. I'm fine. But there was a time in my life where it was like time stood still for a moment. And I was like, oh, they asked me. I could say, yes, actually, something's bothering me. Or I could default to the old way of just saying, nothing, I'm fine. And there were so many times where I had that moment where I could say, actually, this is bothering me, or this doesn't quite feel good, or I'm not liking this, or I'm having a hard time. And what came out of my mouth was nothing, or I'm fine.
Right. Relatable.
And then afterwards, I remember continuing, I don't even know if you call it continuing, having the argument in my mind with the person
Oh, yeah.
and feeling really pissed off about it and resentful because the situation is not getting resolved because
Yeah.
I'm trying to have the fight by myself with the other person in my mind. And they're now, what makes it even worse, what would make my blood boil some more, they're now happily doing whatever they're doing over there. And I'm like, my blood is boiling. How are
Yeah.
you happily doing the thing over there without realizing, oh, well, I just told this person everything's fine. And
Yeah.
so they're behaving as if what I said was actually true and
Right.
they're doing their thing. And I would just feel so resentful and angry and unresolved inside, all this tension. And then I'd be like, well, great. What now?
Yeah.
I'd have to just stuff it some more, and on top of stuffing what I was already pissed about, now I'm like, "Oh, now I get to stuff that, and
Yeah.
I also get to stuff this feeling that this feels so gross and icky right now that we are not resolving, we are not connected. I don't
Yeah.
see an out on this." So,
Compound
primo.
interest. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This is really, we talk about adding logs to the fire of the whatever dramatic thing is going on inside us. And that's a really good example of it. It's like adding a life sentence when you've already got a life sentence. You're having an argument someone's not aware of, and now you're adding another layer of a secondary argument on top of that because they didn't know what was wrong when you told them everything was fine.
Yes. And I also want to normalize this. I think a lot of us do this and we conditioned and programmed ourselves to do this. And when I was thinking about this topic for this episode, I was curious and I was asking myself, like, where did this start? Like, what happened? And it brought back memories of being a teenager and a little girl, where I do think my parents would have asked me, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And me feeling like the only answer I could give was, "I'm fine, nothing."
Mhm.
Because through experience, lived experience with them, I already got the sense that whatever I say here will not be the right thing.
Right.
I will either be made wrong, I will be told that I'm making something that's not a big deal into a big deal, or I shouldn't feel this way, or I should be grateful, or, some version of what you're experiencing is wrong or bad.
Right.
Or even worse is I'm trying to tell them how I feel about something, and now I gotta deal with them feeling worried or anxious or afraid or whatever, and now I am in this caretaking confused role.
Yeah.
And so when we've had a lot of experiences trying to share how we feel, and that how we feel is actually not good and not okay, and we haven't really been met in a warm response to that, then it's no wonder that as you grow up into an adult and you enter different friendships and relationships and situations, that you carry that programming forward.
Mhm.
Even if the person is a totally different other human
Yeah.
and skilled and able and wanting to listen and hold you metaphorically and physically through something, our response still might be, "Nothing's wrong. I'm
Oh,
fine."
yeah. Well, and you're speaking to something really fundamental here as well. So it's true, all of these things you're saying, our parents didn't create the space, possibly, probably, for us to be able to express our emotions. But also, we learned how to have those emotions before we had words to describe them, and they're hard to describe anyway. And then
Yes.
we've got all this wiring coupled up with I'm feeling the feelings when I literally don't have language for it, no access to the language, prefrontal cortex in development, etc. And I say this a lot. I think we're at a time um, where we have more, I want to say, technology to have emotions with. We've got more time and space to look at these internal landscape kind of things where in generations past we've been busy doing other things, practical
Mhm.
things, whatever, digging up coal, for example. Who's got time for your emotions or your child's emotions when that's going on. So we're in this new time where there actually is time and space to talk about these things. There's increasing amounts of language for it, and we're realizing that we're no longer 7 years old, and as adults with
Yeah.
choices, we get to start making new choices. If we want to be more close with people in our lives and be able to share ourselves, we're going to have to
Mhm.
develop the capacity for ourselves to feel those feelings and to describe them and share them with people and discover who can hold them for and with us and
Mhm.
choose to share in those ways.
Mhm. Yeah, so we're also noticing shifts from generation to generation just in terms of our beliefs and understanding and the research and the science of the impact of when you don't talk about your feelings, don't let yourself feel them, don't express them, don't let another human witness you and be with you and support you through that. Right? So we know a lot more now that our parents and older generations didn't know. And I always love this one when previous generations like our parents said, well, we never talked about our feelings and we're fine, or we were hit before and we're fine. And I get why people think that. And also there's so many signs that we're not actually fine, but society isn't using those as measures of whether we're fine or not, right? But I
Well,
think things are
fine. Let's define that because this is so common. Like there's that meme of the dog in the burning house saying this is fine. Like it's in the culture. And fine means I'm not in the hospital in acute care, or fine means I'm not dead. That's
not
basically,
not actively dying.
yeah. Yeah. Anything else, if I can still contribute to the economic system, things are pretty okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And I want to add this piece. This circles back to what you said earlier about language, how when we were babies, we're feeling all sorts of stuff before there's a language to make sense of it, right? And express it. It's just through crying. And so to feel emotional attunement and that your expression of emotion is welcome, it really requires the presence of an adult who has time and understands the importance and has the nervous system regulation to hear the cry and see the face, right? If you look at babies, like their faces are so full of expression. Their cries tell you something. I remember being a new mom thinking, man, I wish this kid came with a manual, right? Like we sort of would joke, like, I just wish it would tell me what to do because I have no idea. And over time, what I realized is this kid does come with a manual, but it's not the kind of manual we're thinking.
Right.
The manual is their face. The manual is their body posture. The manual is their tone and their cry. And all you really need to know is that something is off. You don't actually need to know for sure how they are feeling exactly, because how could we ever for sure know? We just need to know in that moment, this little human is showing me in all these different ways that something is not okay. So, how could I bring a little nurturance and warmth and welcoming and show this kid that whatever's happening, I'm here and I'm your safe person?
Amazing. Yeah. So, in the absence of that magical parent you've described, which I think I only know a couple of them on the planet, and that's pretty new, right? The rest of us as babies, having not received that thing that we needed in that moment, which nobody was equipped to give us at that time. This is not a blaming situation, it's just a reality we find ourselves in. We adapt, right? So, all
Mhm.
of this, I'm fine, is a nervous system adaptation. Our brain has been wired to pretend we're fine when we're not. And we are now seeing actual physiological damage as a result of this. So I really want to stress again, this is not just we're emotion enthusiasts, although I think we are.
Emotion enthusiasts, yes, okay.
We've now got studies that are showing us the short-term impacts and the long-term effects of this. So there's, and I'll quote these studies in the show notes, but we've got something from Chapman. It's a 12-year-long study where they asked these 6 questions as part of the study to determine how people were stuffing their emotions. And so initially, in the first year of the study, they cut the first year out because they thought, well, if people were coming into the study and they were already sick, this could be skewing our numbers. So initially, they thought it was a 35% increase in all-cause mortality and a 70% increase in cancer-related deaths. They cut out that first year because they didn't want to skew the numbers, and it actually went up to 108% increase risk of cancer death and 42% all-cause mortality risk. So in the short term, this looks like tension and nervous system dysregulation, maybe some pain. In the longer term, that becomes chronic pain, autoimmune problems, and cardiovascular problems as well. So these are real, actual problems, aside from what you're seeing in your relationships, slamming the cupboard doors, feeling unseen and disconnected. This is having a huge long-term effect.
Mm-hmm. So, what's interesting, and we're all different, and what our systems react to is all different. What I noticed both times, Steph, as you're talking about the physiological cost, right, in terms of illness, you're talking about cancer or chronic pain and autoimmune. Both times you talked about that stuff, I could feel something in my body. I don't particularly love thinking about illnesses and, being sick. And each time when you said those things, I just let myself pause and let breath actually fully move through me. If you watch this video and you go back, you'll see that I'm sort of wiggling around and moving things around. And that's because I know that something's happening in my body listening to Steph say these things. And we hear stuff that's stirring up stuff in us all the time, but we're not letting it move through our system. We're not bringing in tools that help us be with the fear that stirs up when you hear something like that, the discomfort that lodges in your, gut when you hear someone say, "Oh my gosh, like I never really put that together that if I'm not feeling my feelings, I could be, increasing my risk for health issues or whatever." Like that's not always easy stuff to hear.
Mhm.
So, how are you supporting your system to hear things that are not always easy to hear? Or are you locked in, "I'm fine. That was fine. We hear hard things all the time. I'm fine." Right? And
Right.
I think in the past, it wouldn't have really occurred to me to pay attention to, "Oh, am I holding my breath hearing Steph talk about this? Oh, actually, I am. Okay. So, what might it be like to just let breath sort of do its thing? Is there some tightness in my body hearing you say that? Oh, what would it be like to just let myself move around a little as I listen to you say this stuff?" It happens, like, it's that subtle, right? Sort of funny, I don't know if you see Steph as frozen, but I see Steph as frozen, and Steph has disappeared. So, if you see that she's disappeared also, then you're with me, and I'm sure that she will come on in a moment. So, this is a good time to notice and reflect, maybe to see if that's a common thing for you. Are you paying attention to what it's like to scroll your phone and see horrific things or read a headline that makes your stomach drop? Like, do you allow yourself to notice those moments? Do you tell yourself you're fine? Do you pretend those moments don't exist? Right? Those are all really great ways to come back into connection with your lived experience of that moment and to shift out of our old conditioning that just tries to tell us, "I'm fine, everything is fine." And when you think about it, "I'm fine, everything is fine" is actually a brilliant adaptation that once upon a time we realized, often from a very young age. I need to just tell myself that I'm fine right now. I need to tell myself that everything is fine right now because whatever is happening feels actually sort of scary and I don't have the tools to sit through this. And I don't have the tools right now to be with how big and scary this feels. So, a good way to handle this situation is to tell myself, I'm fine and the situation is fine. And that is great for a short term practice to get through the moment until somebody comes who we trust, who we can say, actually, I don't feel fine. I got through that moment, but I'm really scared, or I'm feeling really sad. Or that's when we actually let the tears come. Right. And so we want to practice discerning when it might actually be necessary and helpful. Hi, Steph. To
Hey.
tell ourselves, I'm fine and the situation's fine. And when it might be safe and a good choice to say, "Okay, I can drop that now. I can drop that coping now and actually be honest with whoever's in front of me and say, "Actually, I'm not fine. I was fine enough for that moment to get through that, and now I need to tell you that I'm falling apart and I'm sad and I'm scared." So you went away and now
Yeah.
you came back,
Yay.
and I was just talking about how I'm fine and this is fine is a very great adaptation. It's
Mm,
really good and very useful,
mhm,
but the problem is that we're overusing it now, and we're not recognizing when it's not needed anymore, and when we can drop that guard and then actually feel what's here or share what's here, allow ourselves to be supported, right?
mm.
"I'm fine and this is fine" was never meant to just be this suit that we put on that we never take off ever again.
Yes, that's for sure.
It's just one of the outfits for some
Yeah.
occasions.
Yeah, right? It's your work outfit, maybe.
Yes, and this actually I have a story to tell around this. Can I tell the story?
Sure.
Okay. So, my oldest is 15, my youngest is 13. So, years ago when they were just very little, I was very lucky to learn from Dr. Gordon Neufeld, right? And sort of take on his philosophy of attachment and parenting and child development and brain science. And he had always talked about the importance of helping our children feel their feelings. And specifically, he would say, we want to help children shift from mad to sad because there's an armoring in mad. There's something much more tender and vulnerable in the sad. And that's what we want them to be able to feel and express and be sort of welcomed and held in by us as their parents. And so I was like, okay. So basically, I just wanna bring them to tears all the time. Wasn't really how I went around, but it helped me to see the value in children crying and in supporting them getting to that process of feeling comfortable to feel that tenderness and let the tears come. And then I remember people asking, "Well, the world isn't suitable for us to cry everywhere all the time no matter what." And the schooling system isn't created so that as a 7-year-old kid on the playground that it's going to be beneficial for you to cry anytime at the drop of a hat, no, just because you're sad or upset or frustrated. What do you do in that case? And his response I found was so helpful. He said, eventually, you do want to help your children learn how to discern who are the people and which are the moments and which are the situations where this is a safe and welcome place for my tears and for my vulnerability. It's like not everybody is going to be that place and not every situation and not every time and every moment. And I thought that was such great advice because he's talking about first encouraging feeling and expression, just full stop, right? When children are young. As they get older, you start teaching nuance, right? And teaching them how to discern, right? Which situations with which people at which time, right? You can slowly teach them that it's okay to feel that not here. You may not want to do that and cry all your tears right here in front of everybody. There's nothing wrong if you do. but you may not want to. And it's okay if you don't want to. And you can save those for when you come home, or you can save those for going walking down the hall and going to the counselor's office, or you can save those when you pull your teacher aside and tell them what's going on, or you save that for when you walk across the field with your best friend and tell them what's happening. And it was just, I don't know, I felt very empowering to be teaching our children. Your feelings are valid. It's important to feel them. It's important to express them. I'm going to help you slowly learn, what the signs are that it's safe to do that, that there's a space for you to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of, like we said, we put on the I'm fine, this is fine, and we never take that outfit off again.
Yeah. Well, we don't typically have safe places to do that, right? Because most of us have not been taught this beautiful thing you just described. We're generally meeting people's tears with suggestions or our own anxiety or anything but presence and openness. So we're constantly reinforcing that loop for ourselves, right? Look, see, I'm crying and I'm proving my story that I'm not safe to do that because I'm choosing someone with whom that I'm not going to get a
Mhm.
response that feels good, or I'm choosing a time, or I'm unable to choose and I'm just flooded and overwhelmed. So there's a lot of shadow material, I'd say, underneath the what and the why and the how. And I'd love for us to talk a bit about some of the ways we stuff, some of the whys
Mm.
about what we
Yeah.
stuff, but I also want to ask these 6 questions so
Ooh,
that
I'm
people can get
excited.
a sense of, yeah. You may or may not feel, dear listener or viewer, that you stuff your feelings, or you might feel that you do it, in a suitable, appropriate container for that. And hopefully you've got somewhere where you can let these things out and actually get some support. But these questions might be illuminating. So let's go through them. And so again, for context, these are the questions that were asked in this 12-year-long study that show that there are indeed some pretty serious risks to stuffing one's emotions. So question number 1, I keep my emotions to myself.
Boo.
Let's do a scale, 1 to 10. I keep my emotions to myself, right?
Like 10 being I'm excellent at it?
Yeah, share my emotions with everybody all the time, or, your dog or whatever.
I am definitely like locked down.
Yeah.
And I would say like my old self. My old self is much more locked down.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever know really how I'm feeling about anything. I just present a smiley, pleasant face,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't really know. I would also say I sometimes or often didn't really know how I
Yeah.
really felt about something.
Well, this is an interesting one too, because I know there's times where you've surprised me with the amount of emotion that's in there. And like, wow, I didn't know she was thinking and feeling all these ways. You're so busy, and like with other people, like you've got kids who are in sports, so like you've got no time really for feelings. And you famously talk about weeping on the floor of your shower, right? That's the time that you had to do that in.
Mhm.
So that's an interesting piece too. Depending on what your life brings you, you're going to have more or less time to do this. I have all the time in the world to just sit and feel my feelings. And you might be in that boat too. There might be one where it's like there's room to go more and broader and deeper, or it's an opportunity to go more narrow and to notice, what's taken over your life.
Mhm. Yeah, so I noticed my old pattern is I don't allow myself to feel too much of it in the moment. I go more logic and practical and pragmatic of what needs to be handled and dealt with. And then I stuff and I stuff and I stuff and I stuff until it's too much. And then it's sort of this big thing.
Right.
So my practice over the years has been to like let someone in. I remember one of my things I was practicing is text Steph when I'm crying, but don't ask her for help because that's too much. Just tell her that I'm sad or tell her that I'm crying, because my old self would either stuff it and then let it all blow up, Or it would be stuff it. It doesn't necessarily blow up because I'm also very competent and capable at solving problems and dealing with things. And then I would talk about it after the fact when the thing is sort of resolved. Like, and then I think that fooled me. Like, it led me to believe, "Oh, I'm generous and talk about my feelings, and I'm not hiding and stuffing anything," but it was very much had that pattern of I talked about my feelings after the fact when it was
Mhm.
all resolved.
Yeah, nice and tidy. Yeah.
Heidi.
Whereas I will immediately burst into tears, but then I'll be able to do stuff while I'm crying. You know? And I think that's probably overwhelming for a lot of people who don't, they just want to contain it. But I'm like, no, like I'll still go to work. I'm just crying while I'm doing it.
And, like, when we talk about containment, like, gosh, I was so good. I was so good at you get up in the morning, cry in the shower. Then you, like, dry your tears and take care of the children and get them to school. Then I got in the car and I'd cry on my way to work. And then I'd, like, wipe all the tears, say hi to the, office managers that walked in, and then, tidy everything back up and then do my job, and then get back in the car and cry all the way home.
Yeah,
And then wipe those tears and then pick up the kids and feed the kids and put them to bed and then cry in bed. Like, I remember that for a long period of my life where I was going through a hard time, that was what would happen.
right.
And so it wasn't in that case that necessarily I was suppressing it. Like, I mean, I was suppressing and trying to contain it in these parts.
Yeah.
But I think what I needed to do, this makes me laugh in hindsight, I probably needed to call in sick and say, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
need a day off or a week
Yeah.
off. I remember when, our marriage ended, then shortly after that, he had quadruple bypass and a heart attack and all of our kids were young. And I look back at that time, I didn't take a single day off work.
Wow.
Like, who does that? And
Yeah.
that's what was happening. It was like, I think I fooled myself because it wasn't that I wasn't crying, but it was so contained to these certain moments by my and the theme across them all, which is a childhood theme, is by myself. I would only cry by myself,
Yeah.
right? Which is like me as the young girl locking myself in my bedroom or being told to go to my bedroom and just crying by myself. And so I was repeating that pattern. So I needed to break that pattern and let people in and actually tell someone, I feel very sad right now.
Yeah. I
Right?
love
I'm
that.
having a
Yeah.
hard time. I actually can't come to work.
Just can't. Yeah. Yeah. I should say
Mhm.
that I'm also very good at calling in sick, especially if I'm so overwhelmed in those ways. But I want to highlight here, like, I think there must be a nurture element to that. That's the tool you learned, and you're able to do it. But there's something about our differences. You're able to contain it. I am not. There's something there that I want people to know. If your eyes are just leaking all the time, that's okay. Maybe it's how you're designed. It doesn't really matter. It's what's happening. So now we're learning how to be with whatever our reality is. If we're able to contain and you need to, find more ways to open up that are appropriate and helpful, great. If you're unable to contain, also great. Just a different way of existing. And we're learning how to do that now as adults, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes,
So, question number 2. I'm not afraid to let people know my feelings.
but I am.
You don't
Because
cringe.
they might judge me or tell me I'm wrong or tell me I shouldn't feel that way
Yeah, yeah,
and I think growing up, it was a household where I felt like everything had to be justified and defended. I had to have an airtight case for everything.
right.
Which sometimes I would try to justify, and then I think I just thought, "Gosh, I'm already upset. I
Yeah,
have no energy to make a case. So it's just better and easier for me if I just say I'm fine."
totally, right? That's pretty much what most of us grew up in, right? we can't really express our feelings because we're going to be met with someone else's discomfort about those feelings. And what we're saying now is that as adults with friends and real families and chosen families and people that presumably we're deciding to be around, this now might be optional. Maybe we can safely express ourselves, and maybe that will have beautiful connective results that actually make us feel better physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so, like, try
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yes. And the only way to get new evidence is to try something new,
Yeah.
right? And so a lot of us have evidence that my feelings are not welcome, they're not invited, it's not okay. And I have a little story about this. It was years ago when my oldest was in preschool. He went to this lovely parent co-op preschool, and I think one of the moms just got a puppy and she was like, "I'm going to go walk my dog in the forest. Does anyone want to come?" And it was me, this other mom, and this third mom. We went for a walk. We were strangers to each other. The only thing we had in common it was our first children who were 3 years old going to preschool for the first time. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but one person, and I don't think it was me, just started crying about I don't know what. And then I don't know if the other 2 of us started crying, but we just felt like, "Oh, apparently here with you 2 strange humans, I'm allowed to cry, and I'm allowed to be human, and I'm allowed to tell you that I feel sad about this or overwhelmed about this, or life just feels like a big, big freaking mess right now."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's some new evidence." Got some
Yeah.
new evidence that maybe it's not everywhere I go with every person I meet that I have to stuff everything down.
Yes. I find it such a relief when somebody bursts into tears. I'm like, thank God it's a place where we can be real, you know? People want to burst into tears all the damn time, and they just don't. Go figure. Not I. I remember Shalina's second women's group that we ended up leading. I just cried for the first 8 months, and when she asked us to lead, I was like, "But I'm gonna cry the whole time." She's like, "Cool. What do you mean? You're not trying to change me. Make it make
Mhm.
sense."
Yeah, it's new data,
New data.
evidence that something else is possible.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Okay, question number 3. When I'm angry, I let people know.
By slamming the cupboards a little bit too loud?
Yeah, yeah. You're letting people know you're angry about something. Yeah, yeah,
It would depend. For me, it was very context related and relationship related. So if it was a partner who I wanted to impress and didn't wanna lose connection with, then I wouldn't let them know. I'd
right.
pretend everything was fine. If it was my parents and, like, that kinda level of closeness of family where I'd have so many years of resentment piled up anyways, then, like, I would feel much more comfortable letting them know. If
Right.
it was a relationship I became much more comfortable in, that I wasn't worried that they were gonna walk out on me, then I could actually sort of be mean.
Mm,
I grew up in a family where there was a lot of shaming and comparison used and guilting, and I would notice that, like, instead of just saying, "I feel angry about this," or, "I feel hurt or let down underneath that anger, that's what's going on," it would be like, "Let me make you feel dumb and stupid
right.
for whatever it is that you did."
Yeah. That's a classic go-to. Very relatable. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
fun to grow up learning that that's how you're that's how you tell someone you're angry. So I'm gonna make you feel dumb and stupid.
Yeah. Well, and those are parts of the reasons why we are so afraid of our anger and why we're unable to express it, right? Because we've clammed it down so much that the only time we're going to express it is by an explosion that we can no longer contain. And big
Mhm.
surprise, we then get evidence that that's dangerous, and it puts our relationships in jeopardy. And
Oh,
think about how often when the floodgates of truth can open, it's when you don't care anymore, right? When it's like, oh, we've broken up. Now I can tell you what I really think.
I remember that. I did that
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
in an email. I said some not very nice things.
I've also done that. Classic.
Um, so this reminds me of a story that it just happened yesterday. I think it's a good timing for the story. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I was noticing my blood was boiling a little bit because my teen decided to, we had an agreement, then, he changed the plans sort of last minute, and I had already made other plans. Anyways, I noticed myself getting really frustrated and angry. And I'm agreeing to pick him up just because it's the safe thing to do, but really I'm pissed. And I remember walking out the door and thinking, so should I stay in this pissed energy the whole time when I'm picking him up and I'm picking up him and his friend? And should I stay in that energy so his friend also knows that I'm pissed about this? Or do I definitely not want his friend to know about this because I want to be that cool mom? And do I want to embarrass my kid? Like all the things, right? And then I just thought, would it feel pleasant for myself to stay for a 20-minute drive all pissed and then a 10-minute car ride with these 2 kids all pissed, and then a 20-minute drive home all pissed. And then I was like, and then once we get home, do I refuse to make him food because I'm pissed? And I really gotta make sure that that's clear, right? And I just started laughing at myself. I'm like, "That doesn't sound fun at all."
Yeah.
And so I remember getting in the car and I decided, like, yes, I'm upset about this. We will talk about it and deal with it, but I don't need to be in this pissed off energy this whole time because actually there's other things that I feel that are not fully just anger and seething. It's just like, yeah, I didn't like that. I'll handle that. So we got into the car, I picked him up, pleasant to him, and, like, I'm trying to just deal with each moment at a time. When he says, "Hi, mom, thanks for picking me up," like, that's just a nice thing. I can say, "Hi," like, "How was golf? How was whatever? Hi to your friend," all the things. And then as soon as his friend got out of the car, he said, "Sorry, mom. Sorry that, the I did this whatever thing he did." He took ownership of it. And I said, "Yes, thank you for apologizing." And I think I said, "Can you see why I'm frustrated and not feeling good about what happened?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, It would feel good for me if you were more thoughtful about the impact of this, which you had an opportunity to be more thoughtful about it earlier." And he's like, "Yes, I get it." And then, like, that was done, and then I'm like, "Okay, well, how was golf? And tell me about this, and, like, what was that, and how was that?" And then we just talked and had a good time.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?"
What? Because we got
Like,
over it, right? We never give ourselves an opportunity to get over anything if we're not expressing any of it.
yes, and it surprised me because I think my old belief was if you're angry, you gotta stay angry, and the only way to let someone know I'm angry is to, like, carry this energy around that I'm just pissed at you the whole time, and now I'm gonna be, like, short with you, and I'm gonna, like, withdraw this from you and whatever. It was never, "Let me just tell you why I'm upset and angry, and
Yeah.
let us make an agreement about how we wanna handle that moving forward, and then let's shift the focus to something that feels nice."
Right? The implication is that no one can ever hold this feeling, and there will be no resolution for this feeling. So I'm just going to turn it into a stew. And that doesn't actually need to be the case. We just have not yet really learned other ways. And we're telling you there are other ways. This is very exciting.
Yeah. I was fascinated last night. I was like, "Wow, I'm
Wow.
impressed. That can
Yeah.
happen?" And, like, I was impressed also, like, I was happy that my 15-year-old could experience that, of, like, mom is pissed about that, but also we can just talk about it, and then she's showing genuine interest in this other thing, and I feel it's totally okay to change the topic and tell her about this other thing,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I think in the past, I would have been seething, "How dare you talk to me about how much fun you had at golf when you put me
Yes.
out earlier and blah, blah." Right?
That's right, and I see this dynamic in a lot of the beautiful relationship reality shows that I watch. Someone's pissed, it's taking up all the oxygen, they finally hash it out in whatever way they've done it, and then it's like this hump is gone over, and they're like, "Okay, so how was that thing? Now that we've done talking about that, how was that other thing? Like, let's talk about other stuff now." It's like, so all that other stuff was there, it was available to be talked about, but there was this huge wall of anger that we just couldn't get over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm learning now, practicing now, how to just say, that didn't feel good for me. It
Yeah.
would have felt better if this. Can we
Yeah.
do this instead or try this instead moving forward? Okay, great. Now let's move along.
Yeah. Let's move along. I want to get through these questions too. Number 4, I often don't tell my friends something I think will upset them. Unless we break up, and then I'll tell you all the things.
All the things. No, and that's when we break up, and then I'll tell everybody else all the things.
Right.
Some version of that. Some
Some
version of
version of
that.
that.
Yeah.
Question 5 is pretty similar. I try to be pleasant so that others won't get upset.
Isn't that just how I'm supposed to be?
Right? And isn't that what we're all taught to be, right? When we're angry or sad, we're given some variation of shut up so that you can be pleasant so that other people won't get upset by our
Mhm.
upset. It's a vicious
Yeah.
cycle.
I was fascinated by the human capacity to adapt years ago, and I cannot cite the research, but it is pretty fascinating of how young babies are when they
Mm,
learn to already mask facial expressions and emotional expression. When they look at the caregiver's face and they can see a flat face or like a not happy face in what they believe is response to what they're doing,
yeah.
they will already mask it. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
The
And it'll
the
be
the yeah.
all of that. Like, right, we're pretty self-involved at that point. We don't even know there's anybody outside of us. So we're gonna be making meaning out of every single facial expression, whether it's to do
Mhm.
with us or not. And we carry that forward. That's our current programming today as adults.
Yes, and, like, I'll have a little confession here with my partner now. I'm so sensitive to facial expression, just in general, right? Growing up, I had to scan and watch. Facial expressions tell you what you can expect that night or that moment, and whether you need to adjust your behavior to, like, not get in trouble. So, often and now, we've been together for 3 years, so I know this person. But, like, I used to say, like, "Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me?" And then, like, sometimes I still do, and sometimes it's a joke, but, like, I'm trying to get the data, like, "Are you mad at me? Like, what is happening here? What's going on?" Right? Because, like, we're trying to get feedback of, like, "Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
And he operates off the baseline of, like, "Why would I be mad at you? And if I'm mad at you, you would know." It would be clear. And I'm operating off of, if you're mad at me, it won't be obvious, and I'll have to dig it out,
Yeah.
right? Or it will only be obvious when you've had enough of me and you're
Yeah.
gonna lose it on me or leave me.
Right.
Those are the only 2 options. Like, it never occurred to me that you could just tell someone in the moment when something's bugging you.
Totally. And so I want to share then a way that manifested in my life because I can sense so clearly when some emotion is not being expressed. And that makes me uncomfortable because I don't know what the hell is going on, right?
Mhm,
So I then turned that into friendships and partnerships with people who were very emotionally expressed, which
mm,
is it's rare for any of us to be healthy with our emotions. And I have not yet found people who are very, very emotionally expressive in a healthy way. So I was dating people who then were like volatile because I thought they were at least being honest about their emotions, right?
mhm,
There's so
mhm.
many ways this can play out.
Wow, isn't it fascinating?
Yes. Okay, question number 6. When I'm anxious, I try not to worry anyone else. I mean, come on.
I mean, if nobody knows I'm anxious, they could never be worried, right?
Right. Yeah. And
For
heaven forbid
decades,
you get an actual problem we have to deal with. We're like, "What the hell?" But she's always fine.
it's always fine. I mean, I've never thought of myself as an anxious person, and I remember It's really funny to think about going through probably 3.5 decades of my life, being like, I'm not stressed. I don't know why people are so stressed. I'm not stressed. Why are you
Right.
stressed?
Yeah.
But like my baseline was just stressed, but that was normal to me.
Yeah.
Anxious, isn't that just normal? Like that's
Just
just
paying
being
attention.
alive?
Yeah. So these are the 6 measures of whether you're stuffing emotions that result for this 12-year-long study. Those are the 6 questions. Do you share your feelings? Do you share your anger? I don't tell my friends things something I think will upset them. I try to be pleasant so others don't get upset. I try not to let my anxiety make other people worry. Like, sounds like everyone is stuffing their emotions based on this, and it has consequences that are optional and doable. As we've mentioned, these are things you can relearn, and
Yes.
people are increasingly doing that. We're teaching new generations of kids how to feel feelings and share of themselves in healthy, appropriate, suitable
Mhm.
environments. We're
Mhm.
relearning how to do that ourselves as adults
Mhm.
with choices, and we get to rewire our brains and our patterns in these helpful ways. Georgianna and I do this kind of work very specifically one-on-one and in groups. There are definitely safe places where you can practice having feelings. You can do it on your own using our self-compassionate body-based toolkit. You can do it with us, including that toolkit and 2 live sessions a month, which is an hour of somatic body-based practice for connecting with your feelings. And then you can test what you've learned there by doing it in person with real live people. We had conscious relationship training, which we deliver twice a year. And then we talk about things like this on our podcast, and we always include a self-connection practice so that you can do something in the moment to learn how to
Mhm.
be more with this. Is there anything else you want to say before we move into a practice?
I think just two sort of tangents here is the cost is not just our physical health, right? When you suppress your emotions, it's your emotional well-being, right? Some people wonder why they feel depressed or like sort of just never things never feel quite fulfilling even if on paper you have a decent life. It's like we're suppressing all the feelings of joy and pain and everything in between. There's no life force energy present. Like it's all sort of dimmed down, stuffed away. And so no wonder, right? There's no real vibrancy. And what can be dangerous is then we look for that vibrancy in dopamine and other things. And if we're lucky, they're in things that don't cause us too much harm. But if we're, like not so lucky, we choose things that cause harm to our relationships or to us or whatever. So um, a human wants to feel alive and with energy. And suppression is the opposite of this thing that we actually want to feel. If you ever think, oh, like I once had dreams, but I just never really quite moved towards them, never feel enough energy to, that would be something to explore is like, do you suppress a lot of your emotion, which then dampens life force energy to like go after the things that are meaningful to you, right? There's also a relational cost. People can only feel so connected to you when we hide so many parts of ourselves. And then I remember like so guilty of this. Someone who as a very young kid knew I want to feel really connected to people. But I didn't make the I always thought, "Oh, it's them. They're not opening up emotionally. They're not this and they're emotionally unavailable." And then I had to look at myself. I'm like, "Oh." It's like I don't share those parts of myself. I only share the shiny parts. And so how could we be that connected to each other? Right? So we also lose out on the depth of connection and intimacy when we're hiding those elements of ourselves. And then I wanted to speak on the why. For the purpose of being compassionate to ourselves, it makes sense why we've done this, right? Some of us feel like the sensation itself is too big to be with. Some of us think, well, if I feel the thing or express the thing that's hard, It makes it seem like I'm not grateful for what I do have and what's going well. Some of us are just more either naturally a little bit more wired this way or conditioned to logic our way through everything, right? Well, what's the point of feeling the feeling? It's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to make the problem go away. Like, why then? And then there's the what did I want to say here? Afraid to be sucked into it. Have you ever been afraid to be like, I'm not going to feel that thing or even say that out loud because I'm afraid I'm going to go into some deep dark hole if I do, right? All of that. And then something I was definitely guilty of different times in my life was in different settings, different relationships was I can see they're doing their best. I can see why they're having a hard time. So I'm not going to make a big deal or an issue out of how they're showing up or not showing up, even though it's breaking my heart, or even though it's scaring me, or even though I feel angry about it, right? We logic our way through with compassion instead of saying, I can see they're doing their best and I feel really hurt by how they chose to treat me.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't actually need to, it can be both and, right? We don't need to dismiss how we're feeling because somebody else has done their best. We can appreciate they've done their best and still feel the feeling. And I wonder in those moments, if you were making the choice between saying the feeling out loud or increasing your risk of getting cancer by 70%.
Oh
Would that
dear.
maybe change? Like, that's a scary thing to suggest, but if that's actually what's happening, maybe that'll help some people. I know that would help people like my mom. It would not help people like me, but I know there's a lot of people like my mom out there. So take that data and do with it what you will.
I love it. I love it in the sense that we all get motivated through different means.
Yeah,
Like, that would just make me shut down and
yeah,
be like, "What? I can't handle any of this. I can't handle life. I need to go hide."
yeah.
But some people hear that data and they're like, "Well, in that case, I'm gonna start
Done.
telling
I'm gonna
people how I
figure it out.
feel."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So find the way that works for you. Right? What is it that you heard today that makes you at least curious about how might life feel or what might shift for me in my life if I was willing to just be with a feeling or sensation a little longer?
Mhm,
1 to 3 breaths is all we're talking about. Or be a little bit curious about, hey, I feel grateful about this. And also, what I feel disappointed about is this, right?
mhm.
I love this person, and what's not working for me is this, right?
Yeah.
That you can have both things. Um, there's a few statements that came to mind for me as an example to offer you all as things to practice. There'll be times in your life where things happen. Just practice saying it out loud with one sentence, right? I lost my job today. If you're willing to just say that and let yourself feel that for 1 to 3 breaths, you're already doing the thing. Now, if you're willing to say that to a friend or someone you trust, you're doing it, right? This is the opposite of suppression. Is you're bringing it to surface and then you're extending it outward, letting it be seen, letting it be known. Or one that I never wanted to go towards was I regret that, right? When you want to make everything has a purpose in life and nothing is a regret, and I'm compassionate to myself for every choice I've made, like you can be all of that and genuinely as a human have some regrets, have some things you wish you did differently. And for me, that's been one thing that I've typically wanted to like just pretend doesn't exist. So my practice lately has been just naming a regret that I have is this, and then just feeling it for 1 to 3 breaths and not being so afraid of it. Seeing that if I don't add judgment to it, it's just a statement. It's just a fact, right? I'm not a horrible person because I didn't do the thing this other way. And so learning to just be with, speak reality out loud and be with it for a moment. right? Can be
That's
as
it.
simple as something feels off for me right now and just feeling that.
Feel that. This is the
Mhm.
simplicity of feeling feelings. Doesn't need to be an emotional outburst or a big conversation. It can just be sitting with the experience of a thing for 1 to 3 breaths.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't like that. I didn't like that. I really loved that. I
Yeah.
feel delighted by that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
Mhm.
walk us through a practice here for those who are interested in not suppressing feelings, but also not becoming emotionally overwhelmed.
Okay. So this is a practice that has actually nothing to do with your feelings, but it helps you feel feelings and express feelings by helping you be with sensation. So let's move your body into a position where you feel a bit of a stretch, right? And it doesn't have to be the best stretch, just a stretch where you feel some tension on your muscles. And I want you just to be with that feeling without moving your body anymore, just for one inhale and exhale. And if it's okay to do without hurting yourself, see if you can stay there for 2 more breaths to make it 3 breaths. And then just release. So that is just a very simple practice of being with something that I feel right now in my body.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are great
And
things to practice with because they don't have emotional content. So you can learn
mhm.
how to be with and grow that capacity.
And when I was playing around with this, you don't have to do this right now, but I like a little bit of pain sometimes. Like I'm just pinching the side of my hand. I just want to feel that. And I'm going to be with that feeling sensation of holding that pressure there for 3 breaths. And that's it. Like something seemingly ridiculous like that is growing your muscle to be with something happening in your body that is maybe not the most pleasant or uncomfortable. It's also not killing you. It's not horrible. You're not causing yourself pain, but it's learning how to feel stuff and not run away from it or pretend it's not happening.
Yeah. Which has so many downstream effects. We will need 8 episodes to talk about it. Primarily relationship effects.
Mhm.
But for now, we are over time and we must go. Anything else burning to be said?
I think that my life advice for today is add some wiggling into your life.
Oh, yes.
Because I think we also suppress wiggling.
We do. This I think I was saying this when I got cut off earlier.
Okay.
All that emotional stuff, the content that we're in the habit now as adults of just dismissing and saying we're fine about, kids are wiggling their way through that all the time. They're
Mhm.
expressing energy just constantly through movement, and that's a really important thing for us to do too, hence the
Yes.
wiggles. Yeah.
Right. So bring back the wiggles. Free the wiggles.
I love it.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Well, that's it for this episode then. We'll pick up something more to do with this, I'm sure, next time. As always, please do like, follow, and subscribe. And if anything we've said here today has been helpful for you, please share with somebody that you care about. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.